Hey there, welcome on board. Hi everyone, join in. This is Anna from English for IT, and we are here to work with your English. I'm here to help you improve your English today and always, as English for IT always does. Say hi in the chat, join in, make sure you invite your colleagues and your friends. And also, before we get started, I completely forgot to ask you if you can see me and hear me okay. So let me know in the chat if you can see me and hear me okay. And we are getting started here. Hi everyone, thanks for joining. While you're joining here, I would like to remind you why we're hosting this webinar. We are hosting this webinar because we want to help you to improve your English for IT. And we are English for IT, the company that helps you improve your language and soft skills for your career in tech. So thank you so much for joining us. I would like to remind you what we do at English for IT. At English for IT, we offer English and Spanish courses. We also offer courses on soft skills. We have taught over 65,000 students from all over the world, from Europe, from Latin America, from the United States, from all over the world. And we've been around for quite a bit. It's over 11 years now, over 11 years of specialized learning experience. And we work with global tech companies. We help tech companies improve their workforce skills. So technically, if you work for a tech company as a human resource, for example, you always try to help your team become better. So this is where you come to us and we help your team become better. We help your team with communication skills. We help your team with English skills. So if there is a need, if your team requires English and soft skills upgrade, come to us. We'll be happy to help you and work with you. Today, our webinar is called English for Tech Sprint. So today, I'm going to cover all things related to English for Tech, business English, and general English. Before we get started, I would like to remind a few rules, a few webinar rules. First of all, of course, I want you to be active in the chat and contribute to the discussion. Every time you write a message, every time, even if your message is just one word, it's great for you because you are practicing and you are thinking in English. Because you all come here with one goal. Anna, can you please, or English for IT, can you please teach us how to think in English? Well, this is your first step. Where every time you say or you write something in English, your brain automatically switches into English. So this is your opportunity. 60 minutes, today's webinar is 60 minutes, 60 minutes of thinking in English every time you write a comment in the chat. Please don't spam in the chat, of course, no relevant message. Don't be rude, don't be offensive. Be nice, kind, and polite. And trust me, if you are nice, kind, and polite, it will be easier for you to improve your English. At the end, I have a bonus, a gift for you. So stay till the end, invest this 60 minutes into your personal and professional development. You won't regret it, okay? A few questions to you right away. As I said, you know, when you write a message in the chat, you are switching to thinking in English. So here are two questions I have for you. What was the last English course that you took? Was it helpful for you? And tell me why you are here today. What are you looking to improve? Or also, what are you doing to improve your English right now, to improve your English, not right now at this moment, and generally right now? Are you taking any courses? Do you have a teacher? Do you use any mobile apps? Do you like read a book in English? Do you watch YouTube videos in English? Let me know in the chat about your experience with your recent English course and how you are improving English these days. In the meantime, please share this information in the chat. And in the meantime, just a quick note about me. I am the founder of English for IT. My name is Anna Gandrabura. I am an English and effective communication coach. So I will be happy to help you improve today. Please, if you have any questions, let me know. While you're sharing your experience with your recent English course, I would like to talk about our agenda for today's webinar. So I would like to talk today about the difference between business, general, and tech English. Because after so many years of teaching English in the tech space, we have come to realize that a lot of people make one big mistake when it comes to learning English. And when you work in IT and when it comes to learning English, you make one big mistake. And today I'm going to comment on this, and hopefully you're not going to make this mistake again. Of course, this webinar is packed with practical resources, with practical activities. So be ready to learn a lot of new vocabulary, okay? Because I will show you real life situations where you can learn this new vocabulary. We are going to talk about how to learn vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation for someone who works in tech, in the tech industry. And of course, I will share best resources for for English for tech. And of course, you'll have a chance to ask questions. So this is agenda for today. Let me know how you feel about this agenda. Let me know if everything is clear. If everything's clear, I'm ready to get started. And like I said, I hope you have your notebook ready with you and a pen ready with you, because I want you to take notes. Trust me, you will learn quite a bit of new words today. And also, I'll be curious at the end of the webinar. I'll be curious to know how many new words, how many new phrases you've actually learned. Okay. Okay, so I see that you're sharing your experience here. You took some courses 2 months long. You took a Scrum Guide course. Amazing. You took an English for Tech Light course. Amazing. Yeah, this is our brand new course, English for Tech Light, which is only a week long, but it gives you a good motivation to continue learning with English for Tech, the full course. Amazing, great. I'm so happy to see that you guys are investing in yourself through knowledge, through new knowledge. This is great. And I'm glad that you're investing the time in yourself with this webinar that we are offering absolutely free of charge. By the way, if you haven't followed our YouTube channel, make sure you give us a follow before you forget. Okay. All right. And I would like to speak on the difference between business, general, and tech English. Here is the big problem that I believe most people have when they work in IT and they need to improve their English. So, for example, when you start working in IT, you understand automatically you need to improve English, right? Even if you already speak some English, there's always room for improvement. And the tech industry is really demanding, right? The tech industry demands that you speak really, that your English is on a higher level, and also your communication skills, your soft skills, your cultural awareness, right? That's why no matter how long you've been working in the tech industry, you always seek improvement. And this is great. But here's the thing, when you start thinking about how I can improve my English for my tech career, and again, it doesn't matter what your job is in tech. You may be a software engineer, you may be a project manager, you might be a human resource manager, any job, business analyst, any job, really. You start thinking, okay, so I need to improve my English. What do I do? And you start learning what? You start learning general English. And then you like, okay, this is general English, is great, but like I need something more for work. And then you like, okay, then I need business English. And you go and you study business English. And then you realize that when you study business English, you don't really, it's not exactly what you use in tech, even though business English books, they offer you some business English vocabulary, but you don't really come across, you don't really find, yeah, you don't really come across this vocabulary in your real life, because business English, because you work in tech, there is an element of business, but it's not completely all business, right? You don't work for a bank, for example. So then you come to realize that this is not exactly what you need. But you know what? You've already wasted so much time. And then you come to realize that you really need to use it to study English that is specific to the tech industry. And the tech English is actually very well complex, but not complicated. Okay, when I say complex, I mean it consists of different things altogether. And okay, so let me actually tell you, show you the difference between, for example, general English and tech English, so that you understand. For example, when you're learning general English, you might already know some words, but in tech English, these words have an absolutely different meaning. So, for example, the word crash, right? What does this word mean in tech versus general English? Do you know? If you know, please let me know in the comments, okay? I'll be happy to check your vocabulary. This is also an opportunity for you to check your vocabulary level. If you know all the words that I'm going to teach you today, you're great. You can come and work for us, okay? If you know every single idiom, every single expression, every single word that I'm saying, please join my team, okay? But if you don't know some of them, it's also great. It's great to know your room for improvement. Yeah. I don't want to say your weaknesses, right? It's not your weakness if you don't know something. If you don't know something, take it, think of it as room for improvement, right? So if you see that, okay, I don't know 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 words from this webinar, I have some room for improvement, and I know where I need to improve, and I know how to improve as well. So crash, if you guys can guess, let me know in the comments. But anyways, let's take a look. In general English, crash means to fall suddenly asleep. Yeah. For example, I was so tired yesterday. I crashed right after work on my couch next to my computer. So this is to crash, right? Actually, crash has multiple meanings. And I'm pretty sure you know that crash means someone you are in love with. Yeah. For example, you can say, he's my crash, or she's my crash, right? It means like, I love this person. I'm in love with this person. And also crash means, yeah, like in general, it's a bad situation with the car on the road. Yeah, like you're saying in the comments here, right? A car crash, for example, a car accident. So crash is an accident. Also in general English, crash means to show up somewhere without an invitation. For example, to show up to a party, to come to a party without an invitation. For example, you can say they crashed his birthday party. Or if you remember, there was this old American movie, a comedy. It was called Wedding Crashers or something like this. Wedding Crashers. The two guys, they would crash other people's strangers' weddings. So they would come to people they didn't know. They would show up at their weddings uninvited and pretend they are guests from the groom's or from the bride's side. So the movie was, I think it's called Wedding Crashers, because a crasher, it's a person who comes uninvited. Because to crash a party, to come to a party uninvited. This is general English. So you see, like when you're learning general English, and of course, here's an important thing. You will only know these words, I mean, the meanings of these words, if you are learning modern general English. This is very important, because at English for IT, we teach all things modern, right? All our programs, all our courses are really modern. That's why, for example, when you study general English from a general English textbook, you will learn that the word crash means a car accident, a car crash, for example. When you learn modern English, for example, with our general English courses that are modern general English courses, you will learn that to crash may mean to show up without invitation, to fall asleep suddenly, to be the person you love, for example. Now let's talk about crash in tech English. So crash in tech English means when software stops working suddenly. For example, a program crashed. Let me restart it, right? Or my computer crashed. Let me restart it or let me fix it. That's the difference, right? Now let's talk about the word sprint. What does this word mean in tech versus general English? Now, in general English, to sprint means to run fast, right? It's a sprint. You're running fast. He sprinted for the finish line, right? So this is like he ran fast for the finish line, right? People say this is life is a marathon, not a sprint, right? So like it's a long way. In technical English, sprint is a short period, for example 1 or 2 weeks, during which the team completes part of the project or a set of tasks or a set of features, right? So you can say we can complete this feature during our next sprint, right? Or if you're a scrum master, or if your company is using Scrum, you probably know this word very, very well. So that's sprint. Now, ping. In general English, the word ping means to send an electronic message, right? I'll ping you when I'm free. It's like I will text you when I'm free, right? In technical English, ping is a signal sent from one computer to another to check how fast the connection is, right? For example, you can say, I pinged the server to test the network, right? But of course, we can also use in tech, we can also use the word ping as in general English when we talk about sending electronic messages, or sending text messages. This is when we use ping. So as you can see, general English and business English are two different animals for us. And if your goal is to improve English for work and you work in tech, what do? Right? I really like this meme, when you work in tech, you like, what do? Do I learn general English? Do I learn business English? Or maybe you should learn tech English. So let me break it down for you. Now, break something down. Again, to break something down can have different meanings. For example, in general English, to break something down is to break something. For example, I have a pencil and I break it down, right? To break something down, there's another meaning for it. For example, in business context, in modern business communication, you can say to break something down, it's to divide your point into several items. So when I say, let me break it down for you, I mean, let me give you explanation step by step, right? So first of all, let me know if you've ever experienced any of these issues. For example, have you ever, or are you in a situation where you have been learning English for a long time, but you don't have much progress, or you don't have the progress you really expect? Is this about you or not? Let me know in the comment, just yes or no. Just say yes or no so that I know. Have you ever, taking courses or programs that were boring or irrelevant for you? Yes, maybe they were good, but not really irrelevant, not really what you need, right? Or the advertisement was great, but the program itself was pretty boring. So has it ever happened to you? Or maybe you think like your level is intermediate right now, but you still have these gaps in your language that you're not really comfortable with, right? Gaps in your pronunciation, for example, or gaps in your grammar, or you don't know enough useful vocabulary to feel confident to speak in meetings, for example. Is this you? Has it ever happened to you? And also about of course, the most wanted skill, speaking. Are you a confident speaker in English? Can you speak English confidently? Just answer one question. Do you speak much in work meetings? Is it comfortable for you? Do you feel comfortable unmuting yourself and actually start speaking in English in a meeting or asking questions. How many questions? Let me ask you this. How many questions have you asked in your recent meetings in English? 1, 2, 0, 5? How many? So here's the question, right? So what English learning program should you choose to really make a difference for yourself, right? Should you choose general, business, or tech? Well, and as I have already mentioned, business English is great, but the thing is that business English is not exactly business English for tech. Again, if you work in tech, you need to double down, you need to focus on business English for tech. Because, like, if you think about business English, if you think about business English textbook, the textbook is not going to give you relevant vocabulary and situations that you will come across in tech. The same is general English, right? General English is great for general English practice. However, here you're not gonna come across situations that you have at work, right? That is why it's really important that as a professional who works in tech, you study modern English for tech, because English for tech, it's actually a combination of a little bit of everything. It's a combination of general English, business English, and tech English. Because when people think about English for tech or English for IT, they think about just IT terminology. No, no. The thing is that you really need IT terminology for, I don't know, maybe 20% of your day-to-day communication. And usually you already know these words, right? For example, you know the word sprint from project management. You know the word, I don't know, like, other words, authentication, for example. You know these words technically. However, the problem is, how do you use these words in a sentence? What kind of grammar you use to write bug reports? How do you feel more confident in a work meeting with foreign team and foreign customers, right? So this is the problem. And I decided to create this table for you to show the relevance of what you really need to know. So, like, if you have the time, if you have all the time in the world, and trust me, nobody has all the time in the world, right? You can just focus on general English if you need English for work, right? Again, it all depends on your goals, right? So it's really important that you identify your goals before you start actually learning something. So if your goal is English for work and you work in tech, this is what you need to know to do. If you have all time in the world, you can study general English and be happy with it, right? But be ready that if you study general English, you're not going to learn professional communication. You are going to have this kind of like feeling of false progress, right? Because you are learning, you feel this progress, but you can't really apply it in your day to day, right? Because let's say yesterday you had a lesson on general English, and this lesson was I don't know, about going out with friends, and today you are in a meeting with your client. You can't use the vocabulary that you learned yesterday in your English lesson with the client, right? Because you're not going out with a friend. So that's why I'm talking about this false progress feeling, okay? And usually, when you study general English using textbooks, materials are often outdated. That's why I'm telling you, even if you want to improve your general English, you need to find a modern English course, right? A modern English course. And you're lucky that you're here, because at English for IT, we have that as well. You can just go to our website and find general English courses, and all the courses under general English courses are modern courses that we created. But then let's talk about business English. Again, our situation is the following. Just a friendly reminder for those who are just joining. You work in IT and you need to improve English for work, for your work in tech, okay? So, and if you decide to study business English, mostly it's going to be business English vocabulary that is related to different business niches, to different business areas, not technology, right? Different business areas. It may be logistics, it may be banking, it may be anything, but it's not going to be tech. Of course, business English will teach you professional communication, meaning that you will learn how to communicate formally. However, it's also tricky because it's not always relevant in tech. Because in tech, and I will show you today with examples, and you will be able to learn what to say and what not to say. Sometimes in tech, in business communication in tech, you actually want to be less formal than more formal, because if you are more formal, people will think that you are mocking them. Mocking, you are making fun of them, right? For example, when you're writing an email in tech, people never start their email with dear, like dear Ms. Gandrabura. If you write an email to me like this, my first thought is going to be, why is this person making fun of me? Because you would usually say, hi, Anna. Hi, Anna. That's all. And yeah, and another thing, when you are taking a standard business English course, materials are often outdated, and that's a problem. So now let's talk about tech English, English for tech. What we are offering here for you at English for IT. You with English for Tech, you practice all language skills. Plus, you practice soft skills. What are soft skills? Soft skills are communication skills that you need at the workplace. They are effective communication, how to give and receive feedback, cross-cultural communication. Those are soft skills. They are part of the English for Tech programs always, yeah, that we offer. I don't know about anyone else, but the programs, English for Tech programs that we offer, always have this component. English for Tech teaches professional communication, modern professional communication. It's always relevant and specific to your job. It means that in every lesson that you have with English for Tech, you never learn anything that is irrelevant to your job. Everything you learn is going to be relevant to your job. Everything you learn today, you can use at work tomorrow. Trust me, this is the feedback we get every time from our learners. You know, every time they take a course, an online course, or a course from our textbook, they say, "Oh my God, Anna, I learned this phrase today, and tomorrow, I learned this phrase yesterday, and today I was in a meeting and I heard my colleagues say this phrase. I was so happy because I already knew it from your lessons." And because our materials are cutting edge means super modern. We use real life examples to actually prepare these lessons. So once again, English for Tech, it's a combination of general English, modern business English, soft skills, and tech English. Isn't this amazing? This is actually what you need in order to excel in your language skills. So, for example, here is like a typical English for Tech lesson from our textbook that is also called English for Tech on creating an elevator pitch, right? How relevant would this information be for you? Would you want to learn, or do you want to learn how to create an elevator pitch or not? Is this something relevant? I'm going to tell you, of course, yeah, it's relevant, because you know what? If we were talking about a standard business English book or general English book, they would teach you how to introduce yourself. But because we are English for Tech book, we are teaching you how to pitch yourself, because in the tech space, people don't introduce themselves. In the tech space, people pitch themselves, right? So what is the difference between introducing yourself and pitching yourself? Do you know? By the way, tell me. You're so quiet. Come on, tell me if you know. So the difference between introducing yourself and pitching yourself is, of course, your goals, right? So pitching yourself is for business. And because, we work in IT, we pitch yourself as because we are a startup too, right? there is a book that is written by founder of LinkedIn. It's called a startup of you. It's a really cool book. If you guys want to read it, I highly recommend it. It's called A Startup of You. And yeah, this is what I'm telling you. You are your very first startup that you need to work on. And as a startup, and like we pitch startups, like we introduce startups, we sell startups, you need to pitch yourself. You need to sell yourself. You need to introduce yourself, right? So that's why in our textbook, English for Tech, we are actually teaching you how to pitch yourself, not how to introduce yourself. And we also teach the difference. This is the beauty about English for Tech, because you learn something that you need for tech, but you also learn how, like, the difference. For example, the difference between introduction and pitching, one of them, right? Here's yeah, and technically, the reason why English for Tech is so important these days, because I really like this quote here, a quote from my favorite CTO that I think a lot about. Every company is a tech company and a media company, right? These days, even companies that we think are not tech companies, they are tech companies, because every company has a tech department, a tech product, service, or it's a media company. That is why English for Tech is really important, and that is why the next next up on our agenda here, let's learn tech English. Are you ready? Let's learn tech English. Now, I'm going to share with you real life situations, real life examples, and I want you to learn new vocabulary, new business, modern business and tech vocabulary. So get ready, get your pens ready to write things down. So here's the first one. Here's a conversation. Heads up, our meeting was pushed to 3:30. Okay, I'm running a bit behind. So, what do you need to know here? Useful vocabulary right there. Heads up, it's like a warning, right? When you want to attract somebody's attention and give them the warning. Heads up. Actually, there is a full phrase. It goes give a heads up. Give a heads up. By the way, when you use it as a phrase, you need to use article a. It sounds a little bit weird because heads is with s, but still it's an idiom, so you have to use it as like a full phrase without questioning why some words combined weirdly. So heads up, it's like a warning. Heads up, our meeting was pushed to 3:30. Push a meeting means to postpone, to reschedule a meeting to later. Oh, actually, let me show you. Here's an explanation here, right? I prepared it for you. Yeah, to push a meeting, to reschedule a meeting to a later time, right? So you just say push a meeting, or what else you can push? You can push a lesson, for example. If you have a lesson and you want to have it later, you can say push a lesson. And another cool phrase. Okay, I'm running a bit behind. Now, this is a great alternative for your I am late, because I am late. It's great. I mean, there's no mistake here. But if you want to sound more advanced, and if you want to sound more like a native speaker, you want to say phrases that are more advanced. So when you say I'm late, it's great, but I'm running a bit behind, it's amazing. Okay. So you want to be amazing. Do you want to be great, or you want to be amazing? Tell me. Do you want to be great, or you want to be amazing? Well, if you want to be amazing, I want you to subscribe to this channel if you haven't done it already. And the reason why is because when I was preparing this previous slide, I just remembered that I just recorded a new video with phrases like heads up, push a meeting, running late, or running a little bit behind. And you can find this video here, and we post videos every Friday. So every Friday you can have a new lesson with English for IT. So make sure you follow, and make sure you hit that bell icon so you'd receive notifications every time we post a new video, every time we post a new content. All right, now let's continue and let's test your tech English. Now, again, this is a real conversation. All these like things, these are real conversations. So here we had a conversation with Millie, and I believe Millie lives in Great Britain. To be honest, this is what she says. Thanks, Julia. I've popped some time in for us tomorrow. Isn't it cool? Well, how many more equivalents of schedule a meeting can we have? Right? So pop in some time. Pop in some time means to quickly schedule some time, to quickly schedule a meeting. So again, instead of saying scheduling, you can say pop in some time for us tomorrow so we can get things moving. Get things moving. Again, this is a fixed phrase, and this is what you need to do. You need to learn fixed phrases instead of just words. Get things moving means start making progress, right? So we need to have a meeting to actually start working on whatever we are planning to get things moving, right? And then Julia responds also like, you need to notice the tone of communication. Awesome. Talk to you tomorrow, right? Awesome. Again, don't say good, right? If Julia hadn't taken our courses, she would have totally said something like, okay, bye, or just okay. Well, the thing is that do not use okay, because in English okay very often sounds passive aggressive. Instead, use words that actually show excitement. For example, awesome, amazing, great, fantastic. Use these words every time you want to say okay in your language, because again, depending on where you're coming from, for example, in my culture, I'm originally from Ukraine. In Ukrainian culture, it's completely fine to use okay for excitement. Yeah. When I'm happy about something, I'm going to say okay. But in English, no. If you are not happy about something, you're going to say okay. But if you're happy about something, you're going to say awesome and amazing. And this is also tech English, guys. This is tech English because when you take English for tech, when you take our courses or when you use our books, you will find this information, because we're not going to teach you just words. We're going to teach you words and styles of communication, like I'm doing it right now. And I have more. I have this email here, an email saying, thanks for following up, Julia. We're going to hold off on this for now while we advance some other initiative with our Nepal team. Feel free to follow up in Q4. Very best. Now, I love this email because it only has 3 sentences, but it has so much information that I can share with you. All right, let's take a look. First, thanks for following up. Again, it's a fixed phrase. Just remember it. Thanks for following up. Thank you for writing me this email after our meeting. Remember, follow up, contact someone, write an email or write the message after you discuss something, or after your first message, for example, right? Then it says we're going to hold off on this for some time. To hold off on something or hold off doing something, to delay something. We need to stop. We need to put a hold, right? To hold off on something or hold off doing something while we advance some other initiatives. I'm pretty sure you know the word advanced, as you're like, I want my English advanced, for example, right? But also to advance is a verb. To advance an initiative, to move forward with an initiative. To advance, it's like to continue improving, to continue working on something, right? So it means to advance. Feel free to follow up is a great phrase. Again, remember it as it is. Feel free. It's a polite and friendly way to say, please do something, right? So again, the word please is a good word, of course, but sometimes, especially in modern business communication, please is not going to help you to sound more polite. And this is so true, because, for example, if you take this email and you're going to say something, follow up in Q4, please, versus feel free to follow up in Q4. What is the difference? Actually, they're different. There is a big difference here. When you say Follow up in Q4, please. It doesn't sound as polite and as professional and as business oriented, right? As feel free to follow up. So again, instead of saying please do something, say feel free to do something. For example, instead of saying please ask your questions in the chat, feel free to ask your questions in the chat. You see the difference now? You're like, oh my God, Anna, you're so polite. Okay, guys, so feel free to ask your questions in the chat. And I'm moving to a new phrase here. Well, not just phrase, I'm moving to a new set of phrases. And from social media, again, social media is a great way to improve your modern English, your modern general English, your modern business English, and your modern tech English. But of course, you need to know where to look for the right information and what this information means. That is why at English for IT, in all our products, in all our courses and books, we use modern resources. For example, we use Twitter or X, right? We use X, we use I don't know, some other platforms, and we use content from these resources, and we bring it to you, and we explain to you what you need from this and why you need from this. That is why when you take our programs, you see that they are packed with things that you see around yourself. You might not just know, you might not be able to notice it yourself, but with mentors' help, with our help, you can tell that, oh my God, this is so important here. Like, for example, this tweet where we can see the person saying, woke up this morning feeling really productive today. Can't wait to tackle that project I've been putting off all week. Again, one sentence, but amazing phrases here that you will 100% use in your communication, in your tech communication. Number one, can't wait to do something. I'm excited, right? Tackle, to tackle the project, to tackle the task, to tackle the problem. 3 phrases you need to write down. Tackle the project, do the project. Tackle the task, do the task. Tackle the problem, solve a problem. Fixed phrases, write them down. Put off the project. Put off, it's like push, right? So push the project, postpone the project, or put off the project. Actually, speaking about put off the project, there is again internal communication. It was actually on our team, on our English for IT team is international, so of course we communicate in English, and this was like the from our internal chat. Can we put off this project? WDYM. What do you think that is? WDYM. Right. So put off is associated with procrastination, of course, right? To put off means to do it later, right? And we can we put off the project? We can postpone this project. We can shift the timeline of the project. We can push the project back. And why WDYM? What do you mean? Sounds great. Sounds great. So you see, you need to know the nuances and specifics here. And how do you actually learn this vocabulary? Grammar and pronunciation when you need to improve your English for tech. Like I just mentioned, of course, with vocabulary, you want to learn it from a real life situation, just like I described today. But also another key thing, you want to learn phrases. You want to learn entire phrases, not just words, right? For example, phrases like give someone a sense of something, like explain something in general details, right? For example, you can, in a conversation with a client, your client may ask you, can you give me a sense of the timeline for this project? Like, how long? Can you give me an idea? Yeah, give a sense of, it's like give an idea. Or if you build something and you want to show it to your client, you can say, I would like to walk you through this project, for example, right? So instead of learning just words, you actually need to learn full phrases. And we make it possible, again, as part of our programs. When it comes to grammar, what's important here? Well, It's important. First of all, forget about learning grammar rules. It's not going to work for you, right? And forget about learning all the grammar in the English language. No, it's not going to work for you, because you need to learn grammar that is specific to tech, that is specific to situations in tech. For example, you need to improve grammar that you need when you speak in stand-up meetings, right? And you remember that, for example, in stand-up meetings, you need to be very good at specific tenses, because in a stand-up meeting, they usually ask you about what you have done, present perfect, what you are working on right now, it's a present continuous, and what you are going to do next, it's a future. But here you have to be careful, because usually we don't use future tense here. We don't use future simple talking about our next steps in a stand-up meeting. We use a grammar construction, going to. That's why it's important for you not only to learn grammar tenses, but most importantly to learn grammar constructions. Like, for example, here you can see it's a screenshot from our textbook, English for Tech, where we talk about how to use the construction to be about to do something. Actually, this construction is also very useful for your stand-up meeting, because in a stand-up meeting, like I said, when you talk about your next steps, your future plans, you can say, I'm going to do something, or you can also say, I'm about to do something, because the construction to be about to, it's the construction that describes immediate future. It describes the immediate future, and it is really popular again when you're talking about something that is at the point of happening. Like, for example, right after you say something, or right after this meeting, you're going to do it. You say, I'm about to, I don't know, submit my application, or I'm about to, I don't know, push this into production or something like that, right? I'm not a coder, but I can operate some coding coding language here. So this is important for you when when you think about learning grammar, constructions, and tenses. Of course, you have to learn all tenses, but there are tenses that are more popular in your day-to-day communication. And my personal recommendation, I would improve these tenses first, because you use them every day and you don't want to make the same mistake every day, right? So it's more important to to master those popular grammar tenses before anything else, so that you don't make these crazy mistakes. And when we talk about pronunciation, it's just a matter of practice. That's why in every lesson that we offer as part of English for IT programs, and I'm talking about online courses, and also I'm talking about our textbook, English for Tech, I can say that we do offer pronunciation practice in every single lesson. And this is something that I don't think many other courses and books will offer, because not only do we offer pronunciation practice in every lesson, we also offer very targeted pronunciation practice. For example, top commonly mispronounced words in tech, or how to pronounce ed ending when you talk about your past projects. This is a very big problem, actually, if you don't know. But yeah, so that is why it's important to practice all these things as a whole, right? And the best way to practice, let's talk about the best way to practice. Of course, we have already probably you should probably agree with me at this point that if you work in tech, if you work in IT, you need to learn English for tech, right? Learning general English is not going to be enough. Learning business English, it's not the same thing. You need to improve your English for tech. And what's the best way to improve English for tech? And just a friendly reminder, like I said, English for tech is a combination of general business, tech English, and soft skills. So like four pillars, yeah, four columns here, pillars. So a good English for Tech resource should offer you practice of all of this: general English, business English, tech English, and soft skills. And like I said, there are courses, there are programs, there are books, there are communities that where you that can help you improve your English for tech. So the resources that I recommend you use if you want to improve your English for tech. Number one, of course, social media. But again, the challenging part here, you need to know where to look for this information. But for example, for me personally, I believe that if you want to improve your modern English for tech and modern English for business, Twitter is the best thing. But of course, it is a little bit challenging if you don't use Twitter, but also it's a little bit challenging if you start using Twitter, you don't really know where to find this information. That's why you come to us. We frequently post content where we use this information, or webinars like this, or of course part of our courses or books. They are packed with these resources. Another thing that how you can improve your English for tech is online communities, right? So you can stay up to date on tech news via tech communities. For example, a community like Product Hunt. If you follow the Product Hunt community, you will receive updates, and you can immerse into this tech world in English. Also, you can, of course, subscribe to some newsletters, right? Or subscribe even to English for IT blog on Medium, where we share some information in English. Again, it's modern English, so it's really going to be helpful and useful for you. But Product Hunt community, I follow it myself. I love it. Another thing, of course, recommendations on books and courses. Like I said, when you want to improve your English for tech, you need to improve your soft skills. You need to improve your cultural understanding. You need to improve your technical English, like tech English. So, for example, the book that I recommend everyone in tech should read, and everyone, not even if you don't work in tech and somehow you're watching this webinar, but you work with internationals. Yeah, you work with international teams. The book, The Culture Map, is the must read, right? So please save it. Now, then, if you want to improve your soft skills for work, our online course, Power Skills for Tech, is a must take. It will help you, again, improve your communication skills, improve your cultural understanding, how to communicate across cultures, how to give feedback, how to react to feedback, how to criticize people, how not to criticize people, how to be like, how to speak politely across cultures. So this course is amazing. This course is not about grammar. It's not going to teach you grammar. It's not going to teach you, pronunciation, vocabulary. This course is going to teach you how to be a better person in the workplace, how to understand other people better, how to be emotionally intelligent, how to be empathetic, technically that's a must take as well. And if you would like to improve your tech English, our textbook, English for Tech, is a must, right? So the textbook, let me tell you about the textbook, because this is our new edition. We republished this book this year. It was first published in 2021, and it has since been used by thousands of tech professionals and also English teachers who work with tech professionals. So if you have an English teacher, for example, and you study English for IT, make sure your English teacher has this book, or you get this book for your English teacher and for yourself. And you'll be surprised how much more progress you're going to make with this resource, with this textbook. Because like I've mentioned today in our webinar, the English for Tech textbook, it combines practice, like it allows you to practice vocabulary, grammar, speaking, listening, writing, reading, all skills related to tech English, but also soft skills. Yeah, we have lessons on soft skills, cross-cultural communication, and of course, business English for tech, modern English for tech. So, like I said, it's a combination of general English, business English, tech English, and soft skills, all in one resource or all in one book. So you will become a more effective communicator after you take courses with this book, right? In the book, you will have authentic materials. You will have, examples of real life situations taken from tech. You will learn useful phrases, not just words, but full phrases that you can start using at work from day one. You will upgrade your level, whatever you are right now, you will upgrade it. And you can self study. You can use this book for self study, or you can use this book if you have a teacher. So the book is really conveniently designed for both self study or with a tutor. So up to you. And lucky you, because today we have a promo code, Read It. With the promo code Read It, you get 25% off on getting this electronic version of the book. It's an ebook, so it's available. You can use it on your iPad, on your, I don't know, Kindle. You can use it on your desktop. You can print it out. It's very convenient. You don't have to carry it with you anywhere. Just it can be, you can use it off your phone, and very, very convenient. So please go ahead, go to a website. You can see it in the chat. My team has just shared it. Use the code Read It. Read It. Yep. Use the code to get 25% off. Get the book for yourself for self-study, or get the book for yourself and your English teacher. And now you will have a new cool program to cover with your tutor. Now, let me know if you have any questions. Perfect. Timing is amazing. I'm so proud of myself. I can totally be a coach on how to time your webinar wisely and timely. Right. Okay, so this is a wrap for today's webinar, English for Tech Sprint. We sprinted, as you can tell, 60 minutes. We sprinted, but we covered everything I've prepared for today for you guys. So I'm really proud of you for sticking around till the end. And I'm really proud of you investing this 1 hour of your precious time into making yourself a better English speaking version, right? You have become a better English speaking version of yourself after this 1 hour of this webinar. Now, let me know if you have any questions. I can see, is it third edition? No, it's the second edition. There is no third edition of the book yet. We have just published 2 months ago. This is the second edition of the textbook. It is updated. It is renewed. We fixed some bugs. We updated the material. We have added some new and more modern topics. For example, there are topics on AI. Of course, we in the previous version we had topics on blockchain and Web3. We still have it, but we added some AI innovation and things like that. So yeah. Oh, by the way, the book is also accompanied by multimedia. So like you have audios and videos that go together with the textbook. So to access those, you will also have like an online account where you can access all the multimedia for the textbook. Right. Any other questions? We have 1 minute left before it's a wrap. All right. I see some words of appreciation. I would like to give a shout out to everyone. Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate you as well for showing up. And we at English for IT, as the whole team, we appreciate you showing up for yourself. This is another phrase for you. Oh, by the way, guys, let me know if you have learned any. No, well, you have learned. I'm pretty sure you have learned some phrases. But let me know how many new phrases you have written down during the webinar if you were keeping track. Were you keeping track of these new phrases and new words? Let me know in the comments how many have you written down, how many have you learned. And of course, now if you have them written down, it's going to be easier for you to learn them and to use them next time you have to speak English. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for showing up. I see 9 new. Amazing, amazing. One time I remember I was hosting the webinar like this, and I also asked my audience to write down all the new vocabulary, and a few people in that webinar, they reported that they had 50 new words. They have written down 50 new words and expressions during just 1 hour. Can you imagine? And yeah, so like if this is you as well, yeah, it's also good to write down even expressions and words that you already know, but maybe you don't like remember them right away when you have to use them. So it's always good to write things down and then, like Margarita says, reflect on them afterwards. Thank you so much, team. It was a pleasure to have you as always. I'll see you soon next time. Please subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss the announcements of new webinars that either I will be hosting or the English for IT team, someone from the English for IT team. And I guess take care for now. Bye.